Okay, welcome back to the Caribou Media Outdoors podcast. With me tonight is Jeremy Williams from Hillview Custom Meats. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Good, Josh. How are you?
Good. So I asked you to come on here. You're one of my local butchers that I buy a lot of meat from, and you also process wild game. So I thought it
Yes.
would be good to kind of pick your brain about, which we'll get into in a minute, but kind of things that you've seen that you think people should know, do's and don'ts about how to process before they come in, things like that. But
Yeah.
um,
I
I'm
think
sure you've
that's a good thing.
I'm sure you've seen some doozies.
I
Um,
have. I
yeah.
have. Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but before we get into all that, I know you're a bow hunter as well.
Yep.
Can you tell me? Do you remember the first time you picked up a bow?
I'm gonna say it was probably 15-ish.
Mm-hmm.
No family hunting. No one hunted in my family. Like parents would. My grandfather hunted, but never introduced me to it or anything. I remember just having conversations with a guy from school, and just had that interest. I always had an interest in animals and stuff. Like we have the farm and stuff, so I've grown up around it. And I think I was probably 15 when I started nagging my parents or my mom that I wanted to get into hunting and this, that, whatever. And then they bought me a little cheap, I don't know what Canadian Tire, like a little red
Yeah,
recurve,
yeah.
wrong size string, everything,
Yeah,
everything was wrong on it when we
the
got
fi-
it. And
the
yeah,
fiberglass one.
yeah, the fiberglass ones. Yeah, with the plastic handle. You could shoot it left-handed or right-handed.
All
It
right,
didn't
doesn't
matter.
matter. Doesn't
No.
matter.
And yeah, I used to run around the yard chasing blackbirds and stuff back in the day. Yeah, so that's kind of where it all started, and it just kind of evolved from there. And yeah, once I got a little more into it, I actually bought a compound. It was a bear, but it was like Bear Jennings back in the day. And yeah, I didn't have anybody else that really had any interest in it. And then I just got up to that and I was like, oh, I like this. I like the way it shoots or whatever. And then I went to the archery program in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I jumped all over it, wanted to go in the archery program. And then you go there and they're just basically the shittiest bows you can find, right? So you and all broken shafts and nothing's
Oh, yeah.
exact.
Missing
So
fletchings. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I just asked the teacher one day. I was like, "Hey, I have a compound bow. Can I bring it in?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." He's like, we don't have anything like that. Some of these guys can see it and see, how it's different and stuff." And so I brought it to school one day with me. He'd never get away with that now, but
No.
yeah, I took it in and we shot the class or whatever. And then there was a guy I didn't know at school. He saw me with it, and he come over and was like, "Hey, you have a bow, and do you hunt with it?" And I said, "Yeah, a little bit." Never really got into much. And yeah, to this day, him and I are still at it. So
Oh,
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So he was shooting traditional back then, and he convinced me to go that way. And I always kept the compound, but then we went traditional for many years, and there was a lot of misses and a lot of opportunities that were lost
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
the limited capabilities. And had I not listened to him and stuck to my compound, I would have had a few more on the wall a lot sooner than I was able to get some. But yeah, but we've been buddies ever since, and we started bear hunting when I was 16 years old and was just able to drive. And
Okay.
we were like, oh, we're gonna go bear hunting, and we just drove and found spots for bears. And yeah, it was ridiculous. We didn't have a clue what we were doing, but we were having fun anyways. So,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, it's just steamrolled since then, and it's been crazy ever since. So I've had lots of opportunities and done lots of hunting, and yeah, I've been pretty fortunate over the last years and whatever. So
Yeah, I was kind of the same where I did it from a young age with that probably exact same
sure.
red fiberglass bow.
Yeah. Yep.
And then went into we had 1 year. I think they brought in an outside coach to our high school to coach archery.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that looks cool. Well, I had remembered doing it as a kid when we were on some family trips and stuff. And then this guy was like crazy though. Like he had his set rules. Like you had to kiss the string with your mouth, and like
Oh yeah,
if you missed the target, you had to do 10 push-ups and then go get your
Oh
arrows.
wow.
Right? Oh yeah,
Wow.
like it was like I remember being like, we're doing, I don't know what number we were on at this point. I just looked over at my friend. I'm like, I don't know, man. This is like
Yeah, this is a little much. Yeah.
taking the fun out of it, right? But
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
but then later, yeah, I got into it later in life too. Like when we moved from like the suburbs of Whitby up to where we are now,
Okay.
and it's like everybody up here does it, right? So
Yeah.
you go help coach your kids' hockey team, and the other two coaches are hunters, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
so you kind of get introduced to it like that, and then it just kind of steamrolled from there. But for years, it was like I had a week. I was invited up to a family property. I had a week to go for spring bear, and then I had a week
Oh
to
yeah.
go for deer. And if I didn't get anything, it was like, see you next year kind of thing.
Right.
And then it
Yeah.
wasn't until a couple years ago we bought a cottage a couple hours north of here, and there's so much crown land around
Right.
it that I was just like, I need to go explore this. And
Sure.
that got me into like saddle hunt, getting a saddle and
Yeah.
taking that around, and just kind of being able to pick and choose any kind of
Oh
tree is just
yeah. That's a
awesome.
big. That's a big plus now to be able to do that. To have those systems that you can do that, and especially with hunting, it seems now like it's every farm there's somebody hunting, every piece of land there's somebody hunting, and if you can find those small little pieces that people don't pay attention to, that's where you seem to find the most game, is in these little places that have been forgot about by everybody. You know what I mean? Or people don't look at them; they're overseen, and small little pockets of timber and stuff. And it's like, hey, that's where they're going to be. You know what I mean? Because that's
Yeah.
where they left alone.
Yeah.
So
And like going up to this family property, it was had a ladder stand up there, and I got a big one that had a big platform. It was like a 2-person.
okay.
I wanted to be able to have like lots of real estate to move around up there,
Yeah.
but it's a pain to move all the time,
Oh,
right? So
absolutely.
I think we've only moved it a couple of times in the
Yeah.
5 or so years it's been up there. So
Yeah.
it's always the same thing. You get up there, oh, cameras are ripping. There's deer everywhere.
Yeah.
They're all over your stand. Oh, great. And then you get up there, and then the week that we're there,
Yeah.
nothing.
No, they're
and
gone.
we bait up there, and people, some people like it, some people don't. But
Yeah.
we're baiting, but then the people in front of us are both places beside us are, everybody is, right? They've got like
Everybody. Yeah.
this overwhelming amount of food that
Yeah.
they can just
Food.
travel, that there's no
Right. And
guarantees, right?
they learn the drill, right? All the animals, bears, deer, it doesn't matter, whatever you're
Oh yeah.
baiting, they learn. Like, I mean, and they don't get big by being stupid, and that's just the way it is. They know when you're in the woods, they know where you are, and it's unfortunately that's just the way it is, because there's so much hunting pressure, and well, as well as I do, our game is like minimal. We don't have very much game at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Talk to some of these guys in the States, and it's like
oh
they have quadruple, if not more,
yeah,
of the numbers that we have
yeah.
up
Oh,
here.
I know.
It's like,
Do you watch Midwest Whitetail?
yeah.
Yeah. So did you see the latest video? They put out 65 sheds in 7 hours or something.
No, no, I haven't seen that
Yeah.
yet. Oh my god.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I sent my son and I, well, I sent you that picture today. We were shed hunting today. And I said to him, I was like, just think about that. 65 sheds. Okay. We don't have 65 deer on
No,
our properties. Like,
no,
within
no,
our
no.
properties combined, that we have thousands of acres that we have for hunting.
Right.
And we don't have 65 deer on those properties to combined. Like, I mean, we're lucky if we have 20, 25 deer on those properties combined.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and we're thousands of acres, and we're walking, and you take you break it all down and you say, okay, well, there's 10 deer that live on this property or use this property. Only 3 of them are bucks. And it's like, we're in here looking for particular antlers. The fact that we find any is astronomical. Like, it's not to, and these guys they're picking them up left, right, and center. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys that, I think one of the guys I know that lives down in Alabama, he's like, you can shoot, I think it's 2 or 3 bucks a season, but you could shoot a doe every day if you
every
wanted
day.
to.
Yeah. Yep.
Every day.
I know. I can't even fathom it. Like,
we have a draw for like, for antlerless, and it's like, oh man.
I can't even fathom it. Like, it's just the thought of that many deer being around that you can harvest that many does and it doesn't make a difference. Like, I mean, I don't know. I have to think that it makes a difference at some point, but how many people are actually shooting a deer a day? Just because you can doesn't mean.
Well, yeah, it doesn't mean it's happening. No, that's true.
That's right. And I mean, I don't know if it's any ways like it is up here, but just because the ministry will issue you a tag, it doesn't mean that you should be using that tag. It's kind of there's a lot of places here where they give out lots of doe tags, and you really there's no need to be shooting does. There's hardly any does around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we need to keep them alive.
yeah. That's the future of our deer hunting is does and fawns, and here there's no. It's like, just if it's brown, it's down. And those, I see it all the time in the fall, right? Like, I see all kinds of does and fawns get shot, and it's sometimes they shouldn't. And these guys will shoot a doe and, oh, I shot 3 deer. They all came out together. I shot all 3 of them. And he's like, yeah, but now I don't see any deer on that farm. I said, well, that's because you killed the doe and her 2 fawns. She's the only deer that lived on that farm. Like,
not only are you killing that deer, you're killing every deer that deer is going to have.
And her daughter would have had,
and her,
she had a doe fawn, right? Like, it's hard to teach people to, extrapolate down the line, like, just because the ministry says it's okay to do this, that, whatever. Well, they're usually behind in where they should be. So, sometimes you have to take that into your own hands. Like,
and I tried to branch out even more last year, and I got permission with the farm across the street from me because, like, where I am, I'm on 4 acres, but I don't have any trees around me. Like, I'm just in the middle of a huge cornfield, so you'll see the odd doe run through. But she's just passing through, right? Like, there's nowhere to really. I mean, I could set up a blind, but there's only been one time where I saw this massive buck, and it was in the morning. And actually, my son saw it first. He's like, "Dad, there's a deer out the back window." And I was getting out of bed and going to the bathroom, and there's a window right above the toilet. So I'm like standing there taking a leak, and I'm looking out the window, and there's like, it was either an 8 or a 10 point, and it was just standing there, and it got right up to our electric fence. So we have 2 horse paddocks.
Okay.
We used to have miniature horses, but the people who owned this place before us had horses, and it came, you could see in the snow, it had come straight down the driveway on one side, and it was just like hugging the field. And then came right along to the electric fence and just looked at me, and I was like, there is no way I can get downstairs, grab my bow off the wall, get outside, and shoot that thing.
Shot.
And I tried, and he was gone. And then I kind of followed the tracks back up the driveway. Our driveway is like 1,700 feet long. It's insane.
Oh, wow.
And sure enough, he went back onto the neighbor's property and hopped the fence, and he was gone.
Yeah, he was gone. Yeah,
that was the only buck I've ever seen around here.
It'd be the one and only time that he does that path, maybe too.
Yeah, he'll never come back. So
no,
when I got permission over there, I was like, "Oh, I've made it now. Like, this is going to be because I've seen them pass through there before." And I had a camera up there, and I was getting a few running by, but nothing like that really stopped to. And I don't know how many days I was up in that tree. It was just like, once that corn came down, they were gone.
They're gone. Yeah. I mean, they live in that corn, and then once it comes down, it's they're like, okay, well, now it's a food source. Everybody sees me, so I'm not coming
Right.
out till last light, and trying to pick, like I said, it's, with minimal deer, they don't behave the same as herds of deer do. I mean, they're herd animals. Like, they follow that interdigital scent on their hooves and follow those trails out. You know what I mean? But if there's no other deer to follow, they just meander about however they want. So hoping you're going to pick the right trail. And, I mean, to be successful on these big bucks is up here, especially where they're there's gun seasons and they're heavily pressured. And I mean, the fact that we even get opportunities at them it's wild. So, I mean, we picked up a shed today. My son picked it up, and it's from a buck, and I've known of him. He's 2.5 or 3.5. I think he's only a 2.5 in, I forget now, but I think he's 11. We think he'll be 11 years old this year.
11.
Yeah. No
Wow.
jokes. I have pictures of him every year. We get his picture every year. Last year was the first year that I ever saw him, and I've had his picture straight through.
Oh, that you saw him with your own eyes.
Yeah, I saw him. I saw him in our food plot last year, but we had deep snow and there was the deer piled into it. And and he come out one night, but it was like right at dark when everything was piling in. We were stuck in the box for, it was an hour after dark. We were just sitting there and we're like, oh, well, we got to wait till it's pitch black to get out of here, or
they'll never
the deer
come back.
move or whatever. But they seem to always, they pile in, and then all of a sudden something makes a noise or something, and they all just fly out of there. And then 10 minutes later, they all come back in. So you seem to get these times that you can get out without it's not your fault they're spooked. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah. Something else.
They clear the field for whatever reason. So I don't know, but it's
11. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's 11 or 12 this year, and it's there's not much left of him. Like, he's got a huge pop can base with lots of junk kicking around, deep burls. And I wish I had the antler, but I don't. I don't know if you'll see it, but I did take a picture of it today, and I don't know if I can hold it up so you can see the antler, but I've got it in the front of the truck here with me. You probably not be able to see it because of the screen or whatever. Try to get it so you can see.
Oh yeah. Oh,
you can kind of get a look at it there or whatever, but it's so he's an ancient bugger. Like, it's just insane that he's been around for the length of time that he's been around is crazy. And the fact that I've got the history with him for so long, it's just,
and that he didn't move on.
He survives. Like, this is gun hunting seasons, like, he lives in, like, and he's wild. My son saw 2 seasons ago, and that was he was the first person to see them. You won't be able to see this, it's all glare, but so the first picture I have of him is 2016.
Okay.
And he's at least 2 in that picture, maybe 3. So that's where we're kind of getting it from. Like,
if you send me the picture later, I can I can edit it into the video.
Yeah, sure.
That'd be cool. That's I've never heard of that.
Well,
I know they can get that old, but
I've never actually.
Yeah. Wow.
It does happen, but it's anyway, he's a legend. And
does he have a bigger base on his foot, like that it's easier to identify, or
like on his feet, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
No, never tell him. No, I've never noticed anything that way. We just know it's him just through the trail pictures and antler growth, and you can just, I mean, his body, you can tell now what he looks like and whatever. And he's a mysterious bugger, that's for sure. And he travels, like, it's like we've got 3 and 4 kilometers between places where he lives, and we get him here, and then a day later he's way over on the other side again. And like, these are farms with farms between them, and he still travels, like, and for no reason whatsoever. And he just, one day he's there, and then the next gone, and then you just find him here. I'm hoping he shed on this one farm, so we're hoping that he made it through the winter, but we won't know until we start trail camming more and whatever. But you just hope that they make it through. So we did find a dead buck on that property that the coyotes got, not far from there, but it was hard to tell what he was because they chewed the pedicles right off the skull, so it was couldn't really tell
Jesus.
how. I'm thinking that it was a younger deer. The fact that they could actually chew the skull,
Yeah.
softer. So I'm hoping that it wasn't him because I'd hate to see him go that way because he's lived so long, you know. But
Wow.
anyway, yeah.
That's every time I think of old deer, I think of a friend of mine, Dave, from Hellcat Outdoors on Instagram. I'll send you the clip. I think he's got it on his page, but he does a lot of swamp hunting.
Yeah.
A couple hours west of here, and he's always scouting, like January 1st scout, right? Like he's always in there. He's always putting cameras out. He's always finding deer.
Yeah.
You know, people say, "Oh, what are you doing? It's January," but he's always the guy everybody's going to for information.
Yeah.
Because he finds them. So he had gotten into this one area, I think it was 2 years ago, and he's got this video where he's leaning up. I think he's in a tree. He's in a tree stand. He's not super high off the ground. He's about maybe 10 feet.
Yeah.
And he's just like standing there like this, and he's got the camera is on his face. And behind him, I think it's behind him, you could just hear this like guttural growl from this deer.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Where it knows that something's there.
Yeah.
And it's trying to like intimidate them to go away. And I was like, that's terrifying.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. Awesome to see it. He was just like, I think I found the spot. Right? Like you could just hear this thing oh, it was amazing.
Oh, they're so cool. You know, I mean, like every time you think you have them figured out, they teach you something new. And that's what makes them so, that's what keeps you going. If you figured them out and then it was just easy, you wouldn't want to do it anymore. You know, you'd be looking for something else because it's just.
Yeah, we come back every year because we love the challenge, right?
That's right, absolutely. And you know, especially bow hunting, that's just the way it is. Like it's, you know, you want it to be as hard as possible, roughly.
And just being close. Like I just love
the closeness. Yeah, that's right.
Like I always think, I keep saying this all the time, but I keep thinking about the first bear that I shot that we never found. But just being in that tree and the thought, oh my gosh, he doesn't know I'm here.
Doesn't know I'm there.
He later figured it out.
Yeah.
Very quickly he got my scent, but just that, like you're so close and you can just watch them do their thing, like they're just looking around slowly, and just it was so cool.
Oh, I know. It's so satisfying, like watching passing deer, like legitimately passing deer when they come around you and they meander about and have no idea that you're there. And they come out of where they come out, they pass by you and they continue on their path as if you weren't even there. Sometimes that's the best feeling in the world because it's like you won there. Like you could have done anything you wanted. You could have harvested it. You could have not. It didn't matter. But you got to watch it. You got to see the whole thing. And did I lose you there?
Oh, you're frozen a little bit. You said
We're
you were
back.
saying you were we were just talking about closeness, being close.
Oh yeah. Like that's what I was saying about being so satisfying and about just being able to see them that close and let them go about their business and they don't even know you were there. It's so satisfying to do that.
Yeah.
I love passing deer, does, fawns, small bucks. Like I love watching them. And then it's like, I'm going to see you in a little bit. You know what I mean? You're going to grow. And
and I started, you know, the last couple of years I've been, whenever I do go scouting around, I'd go and I kept getting caught in the, you know, I'd find a spot and be like, this looks like a spot that would be perfect for deer, right?
Sure.
Where I should be looking for, is there actual sign here? Because maybe there isn't anything here. Maybe they just passed through here. Maybe they haven't even found this spot, right? Like
that's right. Yeah.
And then I'd set up and I'd sit there and I'd never see anything. Or I'd put cameras out and you'd get them coming by, but they're coming by at 3:00 in the morning, right? They're not there during the day. So
yeah. That's all part of the process is eliminating places. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, this one's not working. So this looks like a great spot. The sign's here, whatever. Okay. And is it middle of the night? Can you figure that out without actually being there? Or do you need to observe it like actually be there and see what happens, you know. And if you have the time, then of course you go, you hang a set and you enjoy the day, and you learn that they're not there. You know what I mean? It's not a unsuccessful hunt. You're just eliminating
You're just
part of the
learning.
pieces. That's right. And that's all you can do. And you know what doesn't work. So, okay, that didn't work. So we got to try something different, you know.
That's a good
And
way to
if you,
think. That's a good way to
absolutely,
good mindset to have, right?
you have to be. And around here, you can sit 50, 60 times and not even see a deer. And then
Accurate.
and the next time the biggest buck of your life walks out. And that's just the reality of where we live. We don't have the numbers, we don't see a lot of deer, but you got to be in the right spot to see the right deer. So
yeah,
I like spots like that where you're not on the field edge. And you know, we say that all the time. Do you want to, you're a deer hunter, do you want to see deer or do you want to kill a buck? And there's a big difference between just going deer hunting and going to kill a buck, because you can't, you don't think about it the same. They're not the same creature anymore. Like they become this, they behave differently. Like even once they're 3.5 years old, they're a different animal altogether. Like they don't behave like regular deer. So you can go and sit on a field edge and see some 1.5-year-olds chasing does around, and 2.5-year-olds. And then you might get a 3.5-year-old who's out there maybe that last weekend of October kind of thing, bumping some does around. But after that, like those bucks don't behave the same. They'll walk that field edge 10 yards inside the tree, check the whole field, and then go another mile down the road and check that other spot, because that's just what they do. And you're not going to see them from sitting on the field edge. You know what I mean? Like you got to figure out those little travel patterns and sit in the woods where you can't see the field and see the 10 deer come out that night. You got to sit in the woods and see nothing, but the one you might see will be the perfect one. You know what I mean? That's the one you're there to shoot. So it's it's a different ball game, but it's fun. That's for sure.
It sure is.
That's right.
So what kind of a bow are you shooting right now?
I actually I bought a lift, actually, a Matthews lift.
Oh,
Yeah. I've been a Matthews guy for as long as I can remember. And I was shooting a Creed up until just this fall, and I've been on the fence about getting a newer one. And I kind of was like, tried hard to justify. And I mean, these things aren't cheap anymore. Like it's
They're
such a
getting
big pop
up and
hit. You know what I mean? And you know, I was like, I want something that shoots well. And I've been a Matthews guy. I love the feel of a Matthews and everything. And I've always been like, I started with a Switchback XT, like back in the day. That's what I loved that thing. I still have it, actually. I converted it to a bow fishing bow, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it's hanging out there. The Creed's still hanging out there. And then I was like, this year I'm going to do it. And I did all kinds of reviews and stuff. And a lot of guys were saying, you know, if you're ever on the fence about upgrading, this bow is the bow to upgrade to. Yeah. And and so I went over, I went to East Hill. That's where I got it. And I shot it, and I shot a Hoyt and stuff. And I was like, I went in this time and I was like, I had an open mind. I was like, okay, I'm going to see what's available or whatever. And, you know, my heart's set on a Matthews, but if I don't like it, then, you know, I'm not going to, I want to shoot what feels good. You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to. These things are all phenomenal machines now. They all are. And it just comes down to what feels good in your hand, you know, what you can shoot comfortably and whatever. And I went and shot the lift, and I just was like, my God, what a change. Like, you know, especially coming from the Creed.
Yeah. When did the Creed come out? That was,
it was 6 years old or something like that. I think 6, 7 years old, maybe. Like,
that's going to be when you're going to see the biggest, like they do.
I've noticed that guys say that. Yeah.
The incremental changes happen, you know, they do this and then they do that. And then it's like, if you wait, like I shot my first bow was 2019 Hoyt Helix Ultra.
Okay.
Loved it. It was great. And then I got a Prime, shot that for a bit. Then I went to Elite last year, shot that. And then I was at the Total Archery Challenge, and I went to the Hoyt booth, and they were like, "Oh, you want to try Hoyt?" And I was like, "I'd love to, but I'm right-handed, but I'm left side dominant, so I shoot left, and there's never any left-handed bows anywhere." He goes, "Yeah, we got two. They brought out the Alpha X and the RX8."
Okay, yeah. And I shot the Alpha X, actually.
Yeah, so they set
Yeah.
all that up, and I drew it back, and I was like, "What did you guys do? Like,
Yeah.
this is nothing like what I was used to at
Yeah.
all."
No.
You know, like, mine would just go like, it was
Yep.
always a bit of a dump, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they were known for a
Yeah.
time, but now they've done so much engineering into the cams, it's just like
Mhm.
I couldn't even tell the difference between the 2. I was going back and forth between the carbon and the aluminum, and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah.
blindfolded? Forget it, I can't tell. They're
Yeah, yeah.
so close.
Are they the same cams on them?
I think they are. I think that's
Yeah,
why.
yeah. Yeah.
But just like,
Yeah.
wow.
I
Well
know.
done. Well done.
Yeah, I know.
And that's
They
that's
are.
like a 5 or 6 year gap, right? And then you're gonna
Yep.
see huge improvements, so
Yeah. Yeah, I shot the Alpha X and, when I was looking at the lift and, I had them side by side and I was like, I couldn't do it. I was just like, I don't like the Alpha X. I didn't shoot the RX-8, um, but I was just like, I just loved the Matthews. It just felt so good. And, um, even the grip, like Matthews always had the big wooden grips on them
yeah.
back. Yeah. And I love the way it fit. Like I got pretty big hands and, that grip just felt good, you know what I mean? It felt good in the hand and the zero hand shock, like whatever. And then they get to that the grip on the lift is very narrow or whatever. So that was a bit of a learning curve for me to get used to that feel of that. But just the way that bow shoots and it's
Mhm.
dead quiet, like
Oh, yeah, you can't
unbelievably quiet. Like
yeah, they are pretty
come
whispery.
on, like how? I don't get it. Like there's no how all this stuff's moving and it just goes
Yeah,
like, there's no noise whatsoever.
yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, and then I decided that's what I was gonna do. And then so I bit the bullet and I got this when did I get it? I got it. Well, I hunted last fall with it.
Okay.
So I got it in August, I think last year, something like that. And yeah, so my son actually, he's a Hoyt guy, and I think he's shooting an RX 5. I want to say 5, and he's a super good shot too. Like and but his bow's getting beat up, wore out. He hunts hard too,
Mhm.
and he's looking to upgrade, right? And we were over there, and he's a Hoyt guy, and he picked the Matthews up. And after hearing me shoot it, he's like, "My God, that thing's quiet. My God, that thing's quiet."
Oh,
So he wants to go up to 80 pounds,
yeah.
and so we just happened to be there a couple weeks ago, and they had 80-pound mods for a lift. So he's like, "Yeah," he's like, "I'll throw them on for you. You can shoot it."
No, I bet they would.
Oh, he could be switching to Matthews. He loved it. He loved it. So I mean, and he's been a diehard. Like he's like, oh, I don't know why you shoot those. He's like, the Hoyt's so much better. Blah blah blah. And I'm
Yeah,
like, I don't know, man. To each their own. But
yeah. You can't
whatever.
go wrong with anything now.
No,
They're
you can't.
they're they're such machines. It's
That's right.
incredible.
That's right. They are.
What
And
about what kind of arrows are you guys using?
we're shooting victories.
Victory.
Yeah. I have the
Is it
what
the
do I have? The
TKO?
rips. I
Rip
have the
TKO?
rips, and he has I forget what he's shooting now, but yeah, he's got me turned on to those things with the outserts and all that stuff.
Yeah,
This stuff's all like I've never been like the technical side of archery stuff. Like I've always just
yeah,
been like, feels good. Give me arrows that fit that. I'll make it work. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a target shooter by any means,
yeah,
and so I've always been like, just give me a good heavy arrow, stiff. That's you know, what I mean, that's gonna fly true, and that's all I need. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So but yeah,
And
so I'm happy with the way these things fly and
nice.
whatnot. So, yeah,
Are you more fixed blade mechanical
I'm
broadheads?
mechanical all the way. Mechanical all the way. Been shooting Rage for since they came out, basically.
Yeah.
I went to like the original 2 blades. Hated the 3 blade. Rage came out when they came out. They had the 3 blade and the 2 blade. Hated
Okay.
the three blade and always stuck to that 2 blade. And yeah, it's never let me down in the past. Obviously, there's technological advancements since those broadheads came out. You know what I mean? And Rage kind of went all over the map and made all these different brands and different points and heads and whatever.
Yeah.
I've always favored those the 2-inch 2-blade ones. That's always been the best or whatever. I shoot the hypodermics, and then the Rage Extreme we use for turkeys and stuff like that, just to get that
Okay.
bigger cut, or whatever. But yeah, it's been that's where I've been shooting more or less because of the consistency, like field point accuracy. You don't have to tune anything, whatever. So I never had good luck with fixed blade broadheads, getting them to
No.
fly true. They were always all over the map. So
Yeah.
and like I said, I'm not a technical guy, so I can't figure it out. You know what I mean? I just I need that good flight. So, but
Yeah. Have you heard of the Sevrs?
I actually been looking at them. I'm thinking of ordering some.
So they
They're
have a
pretty
screw.
sick.
They have a screw that you can put in here, and
Okay.
you use the broadhead you're going to shoot as your practice point.
Oh
So
wow.
it
So it
locks
won't
them,
open.
locks the blades, so it won't
Yeah.
open, and you can just go to town. And
Oh
then
no way.
when you're done, you just take the screw out,
Yeah.
and then
And then it's ready to roll.
yeah. So once they open,
Hmm.
hold on.
You did a ballistic stuff on them, did you not? Like,
Yeah, I did these and I did a bunch of other ones, but these are cool because once they lock open,
yeah, they pivot, right?
they pivot.
Yeah.
So if they hit a rib, they just go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's
Yeah,
pretty cool. That's the Beast does that too, right?
yeah. The beast will. Hold on. Let me just before I cut my hand open. Use a prop here. Yeah, the beast is cool too because they have these pretty heavy duty springs on the inside,
Okay.
and once this thing opens, so
Oh wow.
it's a 2.3-inch cut,
Oh wow.
and then when it hits a dense material, it'll bend
Oh, I see.
or it'll flex in and out.
Okay.
So
But they don't go together like the Sevr does.
yeah, so they won't swing from one side to the other like the Severs
Okay.
do.
Okay.
They'll just kind of collapse, and
I
then once
see.
it passes through, it opens back up again.
I see.
So what if
Hmm.
you're looking at videos online, you'll get a lot of people saying that these are junk because they won't
Yeah.
open. But if you shoot them into ballistics gel on their own, the
Hmm.
ballistics gel is dense.
Yeah.
So they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They close up.
Right. Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah.
So they're designed to do that. And then once it passes through whatever dense material it hits, it'll redeploy.
Right.
But yeah, they're pretty. There's so many good ones. T2,
Oh,
the G5 came out with the T2 as well.
okay.
That one's really good. It's very much like a Rage if you look at it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It is.
So they've got like an internal collar system that the
Okay.
blades lock into, and they've got
Okay.
these little, what you can see, these
Yeah.
little like holes here.
Yeah.
So when it opens, they just lock into this socket
Oh,
system, and they just
okay.
stay open.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're really
Yeah.
good.
They're
So
all.
there's so many good
Oh, yeah.
ones.
Yeah. 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 I mean, they're not like they used to be. And, everybody complains, oh, yeah, these are junk because I shot this deer and it went this and I never got it back. I'm like,
It didn't
shot placement,
open, or
shot
yeah,
placement, shot
yeah,
placement. Where'd you hit it? Well,
yeah.
I am pretty
Well,
sure it's,
I don't know.
you don't know because you didn't find it.
I blacked I blacked out. I didn't
I
see.
blacked out. Yeah. I don't know. Did you hit it in the ass? Yeah. No, yeah, a lot of it, 98% of the time it's shot placement. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh,
Absolutely.
I hit it in the middle of the body, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So you hit it in the liver and you went to track it. It jumped up, moved off, you bumped it, and you're never going to find it.
Yeah.
Instead of backing out and going back in the morning or whatever, you probably would have found it, and then it would have been the best broadhead they'd ever made. you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
You'd be telling everybody about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So getting into what you do for a living,
Mhm.
was is that a family business?
No, not
Okay.
really. The meat industry has been part of my life, like, since I was a little kid. My
Okay.
father's he's been a cattle buyer for ever. And so he used to travel more than he does now. He still travels, but he would go to there used to be a lot more livestock auctions than there is now, and he travels and purchases live that way. So cattle in the ring, and he purchases that way. Now he buys cattle different ways as well, but that's how it used to be. So we've always had that connection to the meat industry that way. And when I was starting out 16, 17 years old, I started hunting or whatever. And I was like, what am I going to do with something? If I shoot it, I should know how to do with it or whatever. So I had this brilliant idea that I was going to take the co-op program in high school and go work at the local butcher shop. So anyways, that's what I did. That's what I did.
Nice.
And so, yeah, I had to do some course changes and stuff. But so my grade 12, like I was like, I'm not quitting school, but I want out of here. So I'm making it as easy as possible. I just wanted to go to work. And so anyways, I was like, oh, co-op, that's basically 2 free credits. I just got to go and hang out at a place or whatever. So I might as well do something. So I did that. And
show up on time.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I did that. And yeah, I mean, the co-op program is a great program. It introduces kids to things that they wouldn't normally get a chance to even see, right? Let alone maybe think that, hey, this is kind of something that I like. Maybe I could do this, right? So
absolutely.
So yeah, I did that, and then I graduated, and I didn't want to go to college or university or anything because I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. So, I'm just kind of winging it every day. And so, yeah, I had a couple odd jobs. Like, I think I was cooking in restaurants and stuff like that. And then I got an opportunity to go work for the plant that my father buys the cattle for.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so I went and I worked there wasn't very long, maybe like 3/4 of a year kind of thing, 6 or 8 months or something like that. And it was a new program that they were starting. It was a night shift. And so I'd go to work at 7 o'clock at night and work till 7 in the morning kind of thing. And but it was a small shift. So they had a butcher, and then they hired me as like just to package stuff, whatever. And because they didn't know what I knew or anything back in the day. And when the guy was there, he's like, this is a lot of work for me, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I've cut some meat before, whatever. And he's like, you have? The next shift I showed up and there was a knife and scabbard and stuff there for me. He's like, well, you're going to help me, like, whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's great. So, I mean, honestly, that guy taught me more in that short period of time that I worked there than anyone has ever in my life. I learned more from that guy. And anyways, yeah. So I worked there for that time. And then the place that I co-op, they had a guy quit. And the guy that owned the place called me, and he's like, there's a full-time job here for you if you want it.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, I was young. I was like, he's going to pay me the same money. I don't have to drive to Toronto every day. And it's 40 hours a week. And, I get to go hunting and do whatever.
That's right.
Like the dream, I'm winning, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to the city anymore. I'm going to quit my job and go here. And then, yeah, here we are 35 years later, something like that.
Wow. So when did you branch off on your own then?
Not till I worked for that place. I worked there for 7 or 8 years. And then I actually tried to buy that place back in the day, and it just didn't work out. And then I worked at a couple other places around the area. And then that's kind of what I did for most of my life. I'm a pretty loyal guy that way. So I always just, if I'm working for you, I'm working for you. And then if I'm not happy, you either make me happy here or I'm going to go somewhere else. And that's what it is. And then,
just want to take a quick break to talk to you about a couple of things that I've been using that I think might benefit you. One is this Numa Outdoors gear. This is in their Kaza OV pattern, which is great whitetail pattern when you're up in a tree in the fall and late season. They also have a Kaza pattern which has more green in it, which is good for spring through to the fall. Numa has given me a code to give to you of Caribou Media 20, which will save you 20% at check out. Another product here that I've been using for years now is the Bulldog targets. This is a Canadian-made target. They're made in Manitoba. They have a lifetime warranty. I've used that warranty twice now on a couple of my larger targets that are outside. It's very simple, very easy. These targets are 2-finger removal every single time, which is incredible. Field point only target. Bulldog's been gracious enough to give me a 20% discount code to give to you at checkout. Use code BD20-Caribou-Media. That'll save you 20% on these awesome targets. Now back to the show.
Yeah, I just was working for other guys. I mainly worked on the kill floor. That's what I kind of fell in love with. And the cutting end of it, I didn't really like it, like the processing end of it. But looking back now, I can say it was because of the people I worked with. It wasn't necessarily, it's not the job, it was the people that were doing it that I didn't like. So I drifted to the kill floor more, and then I learned that, and that I did that solely for years and years. And then I had some health issues, and I don't know if I ever talked to you about that or not. I
don't think so.
Yeah, so I was on dialysis for like 9 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so yeah, and then I had a kidney transplant in 2020, right during COVID, and the summer before that, when I was on the dialysis, it was really hard to work, like, and to commit to somebody, because there were some days I just couldn't do anything, what I mean? It was like, I can't. And I was thinking, I was farming, and that's basically all I was doing. And then I started to think, well, there's a need for this kind of job. Like, there's people need places to do game and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what, maybe I should do something. I'm here anyways. Well, there's no harm in it. And so we decided to build the shop with the cooler and just the cutting room. And we decided that it was like August in 2020, and I was like, oh, I think we'll do this, and we can get it ready, and we'll be ready to cut. We can cut some deer this fall or whatever. And so we did. We slammed it together and got everything up and running. And I didn't have a rail system or anything back in the day then, and that was a bad decision. But anyways, there was a lot of lifting.
Things started to get heavy.
Yeah. So I didn't have no inspection or anything back then, because you don't need it for the game processing, right? And
okay. Is it only if you do both that they have to come?
If you want to sell to the public, you need to have some sort of inspection, or either provincial inspection or municipality inspected. So basically the same as all your grocery stores, restaurants, all that kind of stuff falls into that category as well. So so I didn't have anything at the time, and I was like, we'll just see how it goes, and word of mouth from friend to friend, know lots of people in the hunting community, whatever. And I think we did like 40 some odd deer that first year. And I was like, how's this even possible? Where did these come from? And it just was word of mouth, people talking, and there was nobody to take them to. And
nobody.
And I was and then the people started coming through the door, and they were like, oh, do you sell the lambs? Do you sell the beef? Do you sell this or whatever? And I'm like, so the wheels start turning at that point, and you're like, you know what? Maybe there is something here. Maybe I can do more of this. Maybe I can do something on my own. And now it's I'm almost full time. Like I have very little time for the farm anymore. Like I really shrank everything that I used to have. We used to have lots of sheep. Now I'm down to 20, and we used to feed all kinds of cattle, and now I feed maybe 40 cattle, 50 cattle a year at the most, because I just don't have time. I'm in the shop now at least 4 days a week, so it's
wow.
I don't have.
Yeah, I didn't know that part. I didn't know that. So you started it for the wild game side.
Yeah, I started it for game.
Yeah, that's
it just
awesome.
branched out. Yeah, so it.
So I was going up and down from here to Powassan for where that family property is.
Okay.
And there's a guy up there that everybody goes to. Okay. And he's a cattle farmer, and everybody knows his name. And you just go. It doesn't matter what time of night. Like we've dragged deer out and like hung them up, and it's like 11:30, and we're like,
Yeah.
are we going to see him? And we're like, yeah, he'll be there. I'm like, it's really late. And we're like, yeah, but he just open the gate and he'll come out, right? And it's
No
just
way.
he'll bring the tractor over and like whatever it
That's
is, moose,
funny.
bear, whatever, and he's got these enormous freezers, like your place,
Oh, yeah.
right? And then they just drive it on in. So after going there a few times, I'm like, well, shit, I don't want to have to, like, he's the only one I knew, right?
Right, right,
Like, I'm not
right.
driving to Powassan from here
Yeah, I don't want to
to
pick up my
try
meat up there.
to
Yeah.
right. So then somebody, I can't remember who, somebody had mentioned to me, oh, there's a guy up on, near St. Field Road or whatever,
Okay.
you should go up there. And then
Yeah, yeah.
somebody else had talked about it,
Right.
and then I came in and bought some steak, and my God, I don't know where you're buying. Holy cow. They're
Yeah.
the best ribeyes I've
Thank
ever
you.
had. And I'm not saying that because you're right in front of me.
No, I
I'll
know.
tell you, amazing. Like, we'll go out for dinner and my wife will be like,
Yeah.
we're wasting our money here because we can do it better at home with Jeremy's steak, right?
Yeah.
She's
No,
like,
I'm getting a
yeah.
pretty good reputation for the
Oh
ribeyes.
my God. It's so good.
I'm pretty particular on the product I buy in for that, and I put a lot of age on them, and I'm pretty careful not to sell them before they're too early, and yeah, I've got kind of a system in place that I like to keep the product quality the same, and I only like the meat that I buy in, I only buy prime grade stuff, and that's the big difference too. The quality, you can't make a diamond out of a turd. Like you have
Yeah.
to start with you need to start with quality, and quality takes time, and that's
So are you buying them aged at a certain rate, or are you
no, no,
you're storing
they
them?
come to me. They come to me. They could come to me with 2 days or 2 weeks on them,
Okay.
and then I store them. Yeah, I store them. So I'm sitting on lots of them usually. So
So what are some
we broke the internet with that information.
yeah, clearly, right? That's funny. So
Yeah.
what are some pointers you can give people or when it
Oh,
comes to this could be a
yeah.
whole how much
On
time
the
you got?
on the game part of it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I would say honestly, water. People, I don't know why people are afraid of water, or where the story is that you don't wash your game.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where it came from. I don't know why that's out there. Potable water.
Oh,
Potable
yeah.
water is
Yeah. Don't
key.
put it in
Like,
the river.
don't put it in the river, people. Don't skin it, then drag it. Don't, like, I mean, yeah, if you shoot it in the
Oh,
guts, maybe clean that up before you bring it. Like,
maybe.
take your time. Like, it's people need to consider that this is your food.
Right.
What I see is a lot of people are just all about the ego and pulling the trigger and getting that deer and getting the hero shot, and yeah, maybe they eat the meat, but they don't. It's not a sustenance thing for them. They don't
Mm,
respect the food part of it. Like,
right.
you would never take your ribeye and throw it out on your lawn before you
Oh my
cook it.
God.
You know
No.
what I mean? So the game needs to be treated the same as that, because it's actually more expensive. I mean,
Yep.
if you really add up what it costs, what people put into this stuff, your trips, your equipment, all this stuff, for pound, the game meat is the most expensive meat that there ever is. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yep.
And I think really that's what it comes down to, is people need to slow down, and everybody makes bad shots. That's it's going to happen no matter what you do. You're going to make gut shots. You're going to be gutting something. You're going to pop the gut. It's going to happen. I don't care who you are. I still do it. I'm not ashamed of it. It happens. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you're usually in a compromised position when you're doing these things. Just slow down, take your time. If you like, if you made a bad shot or whatever, try to get the animal out of the woods whole. That's the best thing that you can do, is get the animal out of the woods. If it's night, when you're getting it out, get it under some lights. Take your time, clean your gloves, clean your hands, whatever. don't rub the hair all over the animal. Like,
Oh, yeah.
think about it when you're skinning. I see it. Most guys who don't know how to skin, even if you're skinning with your knife all the time, is the hand that's holding the hide. That's the one that gets the animal dirty, because they're letting go all the time. They're skinning here, and then they let go of that hide, and then they come down here and they start skinning, and then that piece they just skinned is rolling back in, and it's getting all over the meat. So the grab a hold, there's ways to do it where you learn when you're doing it in the abattoir by repetition. It's just the way it is. And I realize, you shoot one deer a year if you're lucky, and you might shoot a deer every 5 years. So how are you supposed to get good at it? You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, that's why we offer the services we do. I'm more than happy for people to process their own game.
So do you prefer them come to you in a certain way? Do you want them to skin it? Do you want them to leave it?
I mean, the skinning part for me comes down to whether I'm going to have time to do it or not.
Okay.
In the peak of gun season, when the animals are flying in, I don't have a lot of time to skin, because if I'm skinning, I'm not processing, right? So
Right.
That's what I tell people. If you can skin it, do a good job. Take your time, try to get the hair off of it. Take your time to take the hair off of it. I don't mind doing it. I mean, to be honest, it's easy for me. It's easy money for me to skin deer. Like, it doesn't take me that long to do it. And I like to see the animals too. I mean, that has a lot to do for me doing this, is I love to see the bucks come in and whatever, and hear the different stories and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, to me, it doesn't make a difference. But I just tell guys, if you're going to skin it, please keep it clean. Like, that's really what it comes down to. I see guys skin them and then they
roll them in a dirty tarp.
They throw it in a dirty tarp. Like, tarps are the worst things. How many times do you see the color come off of a tarp and it's always on the end? Like, I see guys skin them and just throw them in the back of their truck, or actually skin it and put it on the hide because they think it's a good idea.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen all kind. I could show you some pictures of stuff that I've seen. It's just horrendous. And then, like, going back to the water thing, use the potable water. Rinse, like, take the guts out, open it, rinse it out. Like, I mean, we could do a whole hour-long talk on the stuff that could be prevented that's not, and whatever. And I mean, the biggest thing I can say to people is, don't be afraid to wash the game. Yeah. Everything just gets washed. The more you can wash. If the animal is warm, wash it.
Get it cold.
Once the animal's cold and dried, don't wash it, because, like, moisture and temperature are your worst enemy. That's what causes spoilage, right? So if you can get that animal hung up, rinsed out while it's fresh, and then let it dry up. Once it starts to dry up, don't wash it again. I've seen guys, they shoot their deer, whatever, they're up north at gun camp, and they bring their 3 or 4 deer home, and they're like, oh, we're going to skin them at home. And this is no word of a lie. They've came here with the deer on a tarp in like a enclosed trailer, and the deer are soaking wet. And I'm like, what? Like, what? He's like, oh, we got hair on them, so we pressure washed them. I'm like, are you kidding me?
And then you baked it in your trailer.
And then you baked your trailer on the way here. Like, I mean, I don't get it sometimes. I'm like, what possessed you to think that that's the right thing to do? Like,
yeah,
skin your deer, get hair all over them, and then pressure wash them off. Like, why wouldn't you just, like, scrape the hair off them or something? But anyways, I mean, yeah, like, wash them when they're hot. When they're cold, don't use any water anymore, because you're adding moisture back to something that's already dried up.
Right.
That's when you get into spoilage. If it's a warmer day, throw a fan on them. Like, you know what I mean? Get that cold air, get that wind chill happening to them. Even if the temperature is 8 or 10 degrees, if you get a fan or air blowing on them, keep them in the shade, they'll keep. Bears are a different story altogether, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the difference?
Bears do not keep. Bears will spoil.
Quick.
Bears will spoil the snap of your fingers. They do not hang. Like, not most people that I've found over the years, that hate bear meat, it's because they ate a bear that was shot at deer camp, and it was hung on the pole with the deer, and it probably spoiled. That's why it tasted terrible, because it was probably bad. Like, even me in my younger years, I actually lost a bear one time way back. I think it might have been the first bear I ever shot. Because everybody said, "Oh, if it's warm, just put pepper on him, blah blah blah, he'll be fine."
Pepper.
Yeah, black pepper, right? So they say if you take black pepper and sprinkle it on the carcass, on the inside of the carcass, it keeps the flies away, right?
Oh, okay.
It may keep the flies away, but it doesn't keep the temp. It doesn't make the bear meat cold. It's still warm. You know what I mean? So if you're worried about flies, it's way too warm to have any meat hanging in the tree. If the flies are on it, then it's too warm, period. So it needs to be in a cooler. And that bear, we brought that bear home, and we had the pepper inside or whatever. We brought it home, skinned it, and I think we just chopped it up ourselves into chunks. And it wasn't good. It was not good at all. It was like, I think it was the pepper, or maybe that. No, I think it was because we had it hanging in a tree over the weekend. And that's why it was no
good. I know what that bear camps that I've been at. Like, as soon as we get them back, you're trying to get the open it up, get a piece of wood in there to kind of hold it open. Try and get as much air in there as you can, and just get that hide off of it. And
that's what I tell most guys in the spring. I'm pretty good with guys in the spring. I've had some 1 or 2 in the morning bear drop offs and stuff, and because I love bear hunting. It's one of the first things I ever did, and I get like they're late nights in the spring, and a lot of times you're not shooting a bear till 9 o'clock at night, and by the time you get it out and you're here, there, however far away, it and if you leave it till morning, it's not going to be very good. So most of them I'll take in that night and skin them here and get them washed off and get them right in that cooler. And it makes a huge difference. Like, the quality of the carcass makes a huge difference if I get them in the cooler while they're still warm. It's it's astronomical, the difference the time that they'll hang for and everything. And like, bears don't need to hang. It's like pork, right? It's very similar to pork. You don't need to hang pork. Like, you can hang, essentially you could cut pork like within 24 hours, but I like to make sure I don't cut my pigs that early. I'd like to give them a few days at least anyways, but bears are the same. Like, they don't need to hang. And the deer too, they don't need to. It's a different meat. Like, you can hang them. Yes, you can age them. Yes, you can. It helps the microorganisms break down the connective tissue in the muscle by hanging it. But it's not a necessity. Like, it's like lamb. The deer, unless you're shooting a big old buck or something, the meat is lean. It's not, it doesn't need to break down. A week is lots for most deer to hang. Like, anything longer than that is not necessary. In my opinion, it doesn't need to hang that long. But and because the longer you go, the more waste you get into as well, because you start to build up crust on the outside, and then you get in lengthy times of aging, you get mold builds up, and you're trimming all that stuff off, right? So I mean, it gets to the point where it's like, okay, well, I'm throwing out more than I'm actually taking back, so what's the point? I might as well salvage it right at that key point, and then it's but again, all that stuff comes down to the beginning of it at harvest time. If you don't take care of it properly when you harvest it, it's not going to keep anyways. Like, you have to take care of it from the beginning. So I mean, I've seen a lot of good and a lot of bad. So and all I try to do is educate people as much as you can and give as much advice as you can, and whatever. But
so if people are skinning them and they don't put it on a tarp because it's not a good idea, and they don't fit in a cooler, what would you say is the best way to transport them?
To transport it, well, you can buy 6 mil poly, like construction 6 mil
plastic?
Poly. Yeah, plastic, not garbage bags. Unless you cut them open and lay them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
the best way,
spread it out.
yeah, the best material is if you have to lay it down on something is 6 mil poly. It's not expensive, and
Yeah.
especially from like a hunting standpoint, you can go. I don't know what a roll of poly costs anymore, but it used to be like $100 or something for the 8-foot rolls, and I mean that's going to last you your lifetime. Like if you only bought that roll for hunting, it's going to last you forever, right? So it's not an expense, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
not a huge expense, right? Like it's
no.
you know, yeah. Ideally transport is best with the hide on. You know what I mean? That because everything stays clean, and then you get it to someone like me, or there's other places. I know there's places around that only take the stuff hide on. They won't take anything skinned because they have
really?
that issue. Yeah, there's a place in Utopia, which is up by Barrie.
Yeah.
They won't take it if you skin it.
Oh wow.
They're hide on only because they don't want to deal with you know, hair and contamination and whatever. So
just let us do it.
yeah. No, that's just the way. That's just their policy. It's just the way it is, right? So, but they're set up to do that, and they expect to do that all the time. So that's a different deal, right? I mean, for me, if I'm by myself, like I said, if I'm skinning, I'm not cutting, and then I'm not making room in the cooler or whatever. So it's
right.
Yeah.
And then, do you have like different packages that people can buy, or do they normally say I want this much ground or this much roast, or how does
like
that work
for the game or for the domestic stuff?
For the game.
For the game, we basically have like a standard cut.
Okay.
But we'll do it like whatever you want, basically. This is what we would normally do. So I tell everybody, you know, what we normally do. And then beyond that, if they have something specific in mind, they just add it or whatever to it. And it's we have like a basic cut, but the price doesn't change. It's custom, right? So it's however you want it. If you for the 1 or 2 deer that guys really go, they're like, oh, I want this and this and this. It really doesn't affect, you know what I mean? The price is what it is. So that's why we have the minimum in place. And then everything is by the pound above that. So it's all comes down to the weight anyways. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's pretty straightforward. And like I was saying before we got cut off there, I'm happy for guys to do their own stuff.
Right.
And, you know, I would almost encourage guys to do their own thing, because then it's a more fulfilling experience from the whole, right? And I'm a convenience for the guys who don't have a place to do it or don't have the time to do it and don't want to do it. So, you know, that's the way I look at it. So, but
yeah. And then you know, when you take it out of the package, you go back to the whole cycle of it, right? Like
exactly. So
putting those cameras out or whatever, finding that deer, shooting the deer, getting it out, cutting it up yourself or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to throw anything away or give anything to the dog. You just want to eat it all yourself. Right?
That's right. Yeah. When you think about the work that was involved and everything else. Absolutely. Oh, for sure.
Sure. Can you pan your camera around and show everybody what's behind you?
I'll try. Go this way.
So just a couple.
Little few things. Try to get.
You've done some traveling for some of those?
Yeah. There's we did a trip to Africa.
Oh wow!
In 2020, and actually I have another one planned for August this year, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So the Matthews is going to eat. And,
oh yes, over and over and over again. It's
hopefully
very target.
That's the plan. That's
target
the plan.
Rich environment.
Yes, it is for sure. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Actually, it's been 15 years since I was over there. So.
And are you going back to the same outfitter?
No, different. It's the same area,
okay.
But it's a different outfitter. So yeah, it's it's basic almost the same town actually. So
oh, cool.
Yeah,
I had a guy on here, Travis Sloan. He's from South Africa.
Okay.
And he does a lot of videos like I do on YouTube and stuff, and
Okay.
he's set up a business over there where he's hooked up with a number, because everything's private over there, right? For people
Yeah,
that
everything's
don't know.
private. Yeah.
And there's not really a tag system. You kind of
Nope.
buy
Yeah.
the permission
If you own
the
if you own
landowner,
the land, you own the animals on it. Yeah. Yeah.
and then you can literally package whatever 5,
Yep.
6, 7 animals you want, and then you
Yep.
go out with the guide, and so he's kind of putting all that together. So he was saying for roughly $5,000 or $6,000, you can get over there and shoot a decent amount of
Yeah.
animals if you're not looking for those,
Yeah.
massive, trophy
Yeah.
stuff.
If you just want the average kind of
The
stuff.
average stuff from there,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very doable. He said,
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
plane tickets are, basically
Yeah. I
get
think it's
yourself over there, and
I think it costs our tickets were like, I think it was about $2,500 round
yeah,
trip, something like that, to
yeah. I
get
was gonna
there.
say, yeah,
So,
that's
but
cool.
I mean, like you were saying, it's a target rich environment, right? So you go over there for that, even if it's $10,000. I mean, it's $10,000 to do an elk hunt, and you
Yep,
might get a shot at an elk.
yep.
So, you kind of weigh your options. Like, yeah, I think this is what I'm gonna do. I mean, it's not for everybody, but
No,
I love it over there. Actually, I had a
yeah.
blast. I had a blast over there. It wasn't easy hunting. I think I was no, it was just the outfitter we were with last time, but I think I was 4 days before I shot something.
Hmm.
So, I mean, and that was sitting hides and water holes and whatever. I mean, you see a bit of game or whatever, but nothing to shoot. And then it was it was a tough to get going, but yeah, we did.
So
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, last time we shot, I shot a couple impala and a warthog, wildebeest, a baboon,
Mm.
and a vervet monkey.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, I don't know. He's up there. I don't know if you can see him. He's up there. See him up there? It's
Oh
all
yeah,
dark. No,
yeah.
that's him sitting up there. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's I got a little bit of a bigger list, some bigger animals that I want this time, but that's the trouble. The more you go back, the more more specific it becomes, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going. This is my priority this time, and yeah.
and
So
do you have to? I know you can't bring the meat back,
no,
but do you have to get the taxidermy done there too?
you don't have to. There's different ways you can do it. You can it's called dip and ship. So they basically take your skins and your skulls, and they just disinfect them and prep them for shipping so that there's no bugs and that they've been through this process, and then they would ship them here to a taxidermist here to be done.
Okay,
Or you can go to a taxidermist over there and you can have everything dried, like tanned, and your skull's all cleaned and dried, and then they can ship them directly to you. Still has to go through a broker and stuff when it comes here because it's out of country stuff.
right.
And then, or you can have the taxidermy done over there, which is what we did last time. And then it comes to you in this great big massive crate. So yeah, so you get dinged a lot on the shipping because the crate size is bigger.
Crate. Oh yeah.
But the government still dings you on your import fees and what else do they give you?
Everybody's got to get a piece, right?
Yeah, they always take their piece on it, and then you got to go through the broker, and they take their piece, and everybody thinks you're rich because you're doing stuff like this. So
Yeah,
they all got their hands in it or whatever, but that's the process, and it is what it is. But yeah, but I mean, you don't have to get everything mounted either, right? Like you
right.
can,
No, that's true.
there's
Yeah,
cheaper way. There's always cheaper options. You can euro every skull from every animal, and it's cheaper than actual shoulder mounts and stuff, right? But,
yeah.
so yeah.
Is the whole family going, or just you and your son,
No,
or
it's just me and my wife and my
you and your
son
wife?
and his girlfriend. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah. So
That'd be fun.
yeah, it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna come up fast, actually. So yeah.
What's the temperature like over there when you're there?
When we're there, similar to our like fall, because it's gonna be their fall when we're there when we go in August. That's
Okay.
that's their fall season, right? Well, it's actually their winter. So it's when we were there last time, there was mornings where it was like 0, and it got up to like 19 or something like that in the day,
Oh, okay.
and whatnot. So it's but it's different everything's different over there. You think, oh, it's a good cold morning, everything will be moving. No, everything shuts down over there when it's cold. They wait till 10 o'clock in the morning before they start moving in the sunlight, right? So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
it's a bit of a different ball game. But
Do you have a hunting story you can share? Doesn't necessarily have to be from over there, but it can if you want.
oh geez,
Or something from home.
I don't know.
What's the one that's directly behind you? Is it, you say that was your biggest?
This buck, yeah. Yeah, okay. I actually shot him right here at home. Yeah, that's a pretty good story. Actually, my daughter was with me actually when I shot him. She was she 12, 13? Yeah, she was young anyways. And she's like, "Oh, let's go hunting, let's go hunting." And I was like, "Okay, well, we'll just go up the back tonight. The wind's good, whatever." And so she had her bow and I had mine. And so we get back and we climb up in the stand. We're just hanging out or whatever, and it's all quiet. Nice night. And I actually think it was Halloween. And we so we're just sitting, and she's a kid, just kind of half dozing
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
And I look, we're sitting kind of side by side, and I look over past her and I see him kind of making his way up towards us. And I'm like, okay, there's a big buck coming. And she's like, where? And I'm like, well, he's behind the cedars over there, so you have to wait. And then he starts making his way up through, and he disappears or whatever. And I'm like, okay, are you good? And she's like, she looks down and she's like, oh, I don't have my release on. And I'm like, okay, just sit down. I'm shooting this
My
deer.
turn.
Don't worry. I'm like, you don't have time to dig it out and get it on. This thing's
Tiger.
like 40 yards now.
I'm tapping
And
you out.
I'm like, yeah. Just don't move. I'm like, I'm shooting. So anyways, I just stood up, and yeah, he come right in. He walked right underneath it. I think it was like maybe 15 yards, and I shot him. And yeah, that was about the exciting part with the release. But I shot him, and he ran. I don't know. He went down the hill and towards the swamp edge, and he didn't go very far. I think he maybe went 80 yards or whatever. And we found him piled up or whatever. And yeah, I was actually I shot him, and then I actually had to go. I was pretty emotional when I shot him because I had to go in for. I was having surgery to prep to go on dialysis when I shot him, actually. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know if I was going to be hunting anymore. I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
So, and to get him was pretty special. So, but never haven't seen one as big as him here since. So
Nice.
there's been a few around on the farms adjacent to us or whatever. There's been a couple of good bucks there or whatever. But yeah, I mean, hunting stories, we could tell hunting stories
Forever. Yeah.
Forever. Yeah. Lots of interest, lots of fun bear hunting stories.
Yeah, I love those things. Those bears are so much fun.
Yeah. Bear hunting story tracks we shouldn't have been on and stuff like that. Getting growled at and
Oh yeah.
and all that
the closest I had, I started bringing a compact 30-30 rifle with me for a couple of times because like I was in a ground blind and
okay.
on my brother and sister-in-law's property a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it had been a few years since I'd seen any. And then because I kept going up to that other family property and we had a week at a time here and there and didn't see anything. And then I was on my phone doing something stupid. And well, it wasn't stupid. I was commenting on something somebody had posted or whatever. It's stupid in the sense of I should have been paying attention.
Yep.
And I kind of look up and there's 4 bears in front of me. So this area, so they have 75 acres and it's a big field, wheat field that they're turning back into a wetland because it used to be a wetland.
Okay.
And part of it they have a wooded part, and then there's this one trail that kind of runs between their neighbor's place and their place. And it's just a highway. Everything comes through there. Like I had a trail camera up there. I had to go and change batteries like every couple of weeks because pictures were just like 30 turkeys would walk by, coyotes would come through, deer, bears, everything.
That's cool.
And sure enough, I look up and there's 4 bears in front of me, and like there's a fairly good size one, and couldn't really judge the others because they were the grass had grown up a bit, and they were kind of in the grass. And then the nose of one of them pushed on the side of the ground.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I could hear it like,
yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay, like, this is a little too close, right? Like, I don't want to get eaten out here. This would not be good. So, I ended up shooting one, but I didn't shoot the one that I wanted. So, that was a bit of a mess too, because it was.
You shot one just to get out of there.
I shot one because I wanted to shoot a bear, but then I shot the wrong bear because I was rushing, and it was I didn't want to get, but then you beat yourself up a little bit. But we all learn as we go through. But yeah, just like in an instant, like you said before, right? You can go 40 days in the tree and not see anything, and then the very next day you're out there, it could be the day, right? So
that's right. That's why it keeps you going, for sure. So.
Well, I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you very much for coming on here. Let everybody know how they can find you online in the store and everything.
Oh yeah, so so the website is hillviewfarm.ca, and you can find us. We are in Saintfield, which is south of Sunderland, north of Greenbank, north of Port Perry, north of Uxbridge. The address 845 Scugog Line 14. You can find us. We're on Instagram, Facebook. Oh yeah, what's my Instagram handle? You should be at that. Hillview Farms _273 or something like that. Yeah. I can't remember what it is. I'm just logged in all the time.
Yeah, that's right. Hillview Custom Meats _273.
There you go. So
there we go.
Yeah. So
awesome.
Hey, awesome. Well, I appreciate you having me.
I'll have to have you come back after your trip and after your deer season and see if you can get that 11-year-old.
We'll see. Well, hopefully he survived this year and we'll see. I don't know. He seems to be invincible. We've always made a joke. We think he lives in underground tunnels somewhere because you never find him.
Well, that would explain a lot if that's what's happening. Because it's like, they're coming. We got to disappear for a few weeks.
Yep. It's that time of year again. Open the hatch. Get underground.
Everybody down.
Yep. Anyway.
All right.
Have
a good night. Thanks.
Yep. You too.